Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Stats That Exist But Do Not Matter. It is episode 101. It is brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook. And guys, we're kind of having our first rerun episode today. This was a very popular episode back in episode 34 where we talked about spring training stats. Now, I know, I get it. Spring training stats, they don't really mean anything. We like looking at stuff. We like looking at metrics. The score on the scoreboard doesn't really matter in spring training at the end of the day, but it's kind of fun to highlight the guys that have been absolutely raking in the first month of baseball being back, and that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to look at 2022 spring training results and how those players did after a hot spring training in the regular season, and we're also going to shout out some guys that have had a really good run of spring training so far this year. So let's dive right in. So in terms of guys that did really well in 2022 spring training, it's a lot of names you'll probably recognize. Bryce Harper hit 8 home runs last year in spring training, went on to have a terrific season when he was healthy. Paul Goldschmidt, 4 home runs and a .500 batting average. He went on to win the National League MVP with 35 homers and 115 ribeye stakes during the regular season. Sean Murphy, new Atlanta Brave, but last year for the A's, hit .433 in camp with an OPS of 1.3. How are ya? And that was really good, even though he was just a catcher as well. Julio Rodriguez, the eventual American League Rookie of the Year, he broke out into camp last year with a .412 batting average and a 1.28 OPS, went on to hit 28 home runs, stole 25 bases during the regular season. All good stuff. Lourdes Gurriel, I forgot he had a great spring. Hopefully he has another one with the Diamondbacks this year, but last year with the Blue Jays, a .429 batting clip, and then went on to have 38 extra base hits during the regular season in 2022. There was also a handful of guys that had a great spring training and a not so good 2022 season. We got to talk about them as well. Specifically on my Mets, last year, Dom Smith, my heart is still with you, man. I hope you do great on the Nationals this year. Last year, he hit .423 in Mets spring training with a 1.377 OPS, and then didn't hit a single home run during the regular season with a 1.94 batting average in 58 games. That is not what you want to see. Hopefully, he gets a fresh start in Washington this year. Kyle Higashioka, a very popular spring training meme, if you will, hit 7 home runs in spring training last year. He led all hitters in home runs in spring training, and then didn't hit one for the first 2 months of the season, ended up having 10 on the season total. Not a great offensive season from him, but hopefully he can turn over a new leaf this year after this spring training. Last one I want to shout out is the former #1 overall pick, Mickey Manayak, who had 6 home runs and 36 total bases in spring training last year, and then ended up getting traded in the middle of the season by the Phillies. They gave up on him. Hopefully he gets a fresh start with the Angels this year. So now the real question is, are the top spring training performers of this year going to be a similar story to the guys we just mentioned, or the guys mentioned before that went on to have great seasons? Let's talk about the guys that are lighting up camp so far. You got Jordan Walker, who's a top prospect for the Cardinals, and a very tall glass of water. That is a scary looking human being. He has 3 home runs. He's batting .429 with an 1,000 slugging percentage and 1.429 OPS. If he can be good for the Cardinals, that St. Louis lineup is going to be scary with Arenado, Goldie, Brendan Donovan, Tommy Edman. The weapons are endless. Kyle Tucker, maybe the most underrated player in baseball. He's hitting .471 in the Houston camp with a 1. OPS as well. He could be an MVP guy this year for all we know. Eloy Jimenez finally back and healthy and probably the DH for the White Sox this year. He's hitting at a .500 clip with a 1.056 OPS. The White Sox nation would love to have him healthy, and if he does stay healthy, he could produce at a really high elite slugger level. And then last but certainly not least, we got to mention friend of the company, a new Colorado Rocky, Cole Tucker, who has a top 5 OPS in MLB spring training right now, and he has a pretty good shot to break camp with the Rockies, who just lost Brendan Rodgers for probably the whole season and have an opening on their roster. So Cole Tucker, continue to rake, and hopefully we see you in the purple and black this year. But yeah, keep an eye on those 4 guys and see if they can pan out during the 2023 regular season, because then maybe there's some brewing theory that hitting well in spring training actually does matter and can translate into a hot start and eventual great season come after. And you know what? I might go crazy and place some bets on those guys. And to do it, I would have to use the DraftKings Sportsbook, the sponsor for today's episode. Guys, college basketball is nearing its final stretch, and while teams are preparing on the hardwood, we're teaming up with DraftKings to give a new customer a winning offer. All new customers have to do is sign up for DraftKings using promo code STATS, S-T-A-T-S, the name of stats that exist but do not matter, obviously. Bet at least $5 on a pregame moneyline for any basketball game and receive an additional $150 in bonus bets if that bet cashes. And if you're wondering what to use that bonus bet money on, use it on same-game parlays. Combine a bunch of legs from one bet, like which team will lead at halftime, which team will score first, which team will win, and you can combine those for an even bigger payout at the end of the day. Download their free and easy-to-use app now. New customers use promo code STATS, like I mentioned before. Bet $5 on a pregame moneyline for any basketball game and get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins, only at the DraftKings Sportsbook with promo code STATS. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details, and any resources you might need for gambling addiction are listed down below in the description. Guys, thank you for watching episode 101 of Stats That Exist But Do Not Matter. Happy spring training, and regular season baseball is right around the corner.